Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Kristen Robinson. She helps online entrepreneurs generate more leads for their launches using Facebook ads, live streaming, and social media. She is known to make online marketing fun and easy to understand without being techy. Kristen's background includes working with a range of companies, including ESPN Games, House of Blues, Radio Disney, and Women's Professional Football Team. Her experience gives her a unique perspective on online marketing, and she is a self-proclaimed Facebook ad geek. Welcome, Kristen.
Hi, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for being my guest. I'm super excited. I love your energy. I've seen you on other podcasts and videos. Just love your energy, and I love your message. So I'm really excited to get into the meat and potatoes of your message. Before we go there, can you describe a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Of course. So this is going to be interesting. So my husband is actually a U.S. Marine. So he serves our country in the U.S. Marine Corps. And if you don't know anything about military life, we move every three to 3.5 years. The last couple of times it's been 3.5. And when I first started my business, I started it at our first duty station, Jacksonville, North Carolina, and it built my business pretty much face-to-face networking. And when we got orders to Hawaii, I know, right? Hawaii, woo! We got orders to Hawaii, right? Yay! I literally had to think about it. I had to move my business from the East Coast to the Hawaiian time zone, right? So that's already a challenge in itself. But the thing is, I had built my business mostly face-to-face. So when I moved, I lost 90% of my clients.
Right.
Because I built it face-to-face and networking, and online marketing wasn't really as hot as it is now, right? They couldn't touch you. It just wasn't happening. Mm-hmm. So here I am in Hawaii, boxes around me, and I'm crying, with my internet on, right? Priorities. And I'm just crying and going, how am I going to grow my business? And that was when I was like, okay, I need to get online and I need to figure this out. And I really need to figure out how to be literally location independent. So I'm proud to say that move is what spurred me to literally become location independent. And 2 moves later, so we went from Hawaii to Virginia, and now we're in New Orleans. And I'm proud to say that, about 95% of our clients are online. 5% is that little offline. If you can't tell, I'm an extrovert. I love to get out and talk to people. Mm-hmm. So we do have that 5% offline. But it's really been awesome to know that my clients don't care where I am in the world, just as long as I get it done, right? So that's definitely a big hurdle that has happened and continues to happen as we move is, okay, how do I keep the business going and expanding during, the times that we move with my husband's military career?
Whenever you moved from Hawaii to Virginia, how did that affect your business, if at all, or did you have it down pat by then?
No. So, no. What was the biggest adjustment was going back to the Eastern time zone. So when I was in Hawaii, I actually was working on the Pacific time zone. Mm-hmm. The Hawaiian time zone is actually depending on daylight savings, because Hawaii doesn't change time. Depending on daylight savings, it's 5 to 6 hours behind. And that wasn't working. So by the time I would get up, my East Coast clients would be, eating lunch. And that wasn't going to work. So I moved myself to the Pacific time zone, and then going from Hawaii to Virginia, I had to get back on the Eastern time zone. So then all my clients are like, wait, you're what now? Like every time I move, there is that issue of, wait, what time zone are you on again? Because you're moving. I can't keep up. And then it's just, keeping track. So it definitely wasn't as seamless because I was wrapping up one-on-one work. So it was like, okay, hold on, wait till I get to the next airport, or, wait till I get to Virginia. And then of course, moving and doing all of those things. So the move, the adjustments to the move, I've learned now that, right when we get our orders, we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap things up because I have to get myself packed, my husband, our family ready to go. And then, giving myself 2 weeks to, relax and then reopened probably a month after I moved. So it's definitely been an adjustment and a learning curve.
And I do want to thank your husband for his service, and even you being a wonderful military wife. And I love the way that you just keep adjusting to whatever hits you, because the military, I know whenever they say jump, jump. And so having an online business is great because you can move it everywhere, but also you're constantly having to readjust. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
You're a Facebook ad geek. I love that you wrote that. I'm a self-proclaimed Facebook ad geek. And so, a lot of Facebook ad gurus always say that you shouldn't boost your Facebook posts. So what's your opinion on this? Should we boost or should we not boost? What's the pros and the cons of boosting a post?
You know, it's so funny. I get this question a lot, which is hilarious. So when it comes to boosting a post, a lot of people don't understand that boosting a post is strictly for visibility. Because if you think about it, there's 5 categories of people who like your page. There are your friends, let's be real. There's your family, right? There's what I call the lurkers, the people who are kind of checking you out. Mm-hmm. Then you got your competitors, right? Competitors, people who just look at what you're doing. They're checking you out too. And then you have the hot leads, which is the people you're like, yes, those are the people I want. Like, let's be real, you're writing those posts for the hot leads. So you have those 5 categories of people. When you boost a post, you're trying to get that post shown to all the people who like your page, and those 5 categories are going to see it. When you think about it, boosting a post, as small as it may be, $5 or $10, that's a waste of money because you're hoping that the hot leads are going to see it, and they really make up like this amount of your page, right? Like this itty bitty amount. But it has to go through your friends who don't, let's be real, they love you, but they're not going to buy. Your family who loves you, but they're not going to buy. The lurkers, they may. Your competitors, they're just checking it out. So you're paying all this money for this post to be seen, and it's really going to be really seen by this many people who really matter the most. Versus, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I love that you said that. I have one more question to follow up with that, is because I've heard and I've read too, well, if you boost your post and you get 1,000 likes on your page, then that means that you can do your paid advertisement to those 1,000 people, because whenever you do your ads, you can gear it towards the people that have liked your page. So
yeah, you can. I mean, you can, but it's still the same problem, right? Because it's the same 1,000 people. Exactly. It's that still small percentage of hot leads. So you grew your page, but you still got this little percentage of likes. Versus when you do a Facebook ad, that's the first thing you set is the audience. So the very first thing Facebook asks you when you do an ad is, why are you doing it? Which is so cool, right? It says, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to get more website views? Are you doing it to get more page likes? Are you trying to get more video views? Or my favorite, are you trying to get more conversion? Basically, people converting off your ad, opting in, signing up for things. That's my favorite purpose, right? So when you say conversion, one of the cool things that Facebook does is when you finish doing your audience about who's going to see your ad, because you chose conversion, Facebook is going to front load all those people who are likely to convert up front to see your ad first versus, layering it out, because Facebook wants you to pay more money. So they're going to front load all the people who are going to convert first so you get results faster. And that's why I love doing Facebook ads versus a post, because now you start to see the result automatically, and it's showing to the people who are going to convert and the people who want to take you up on that offer versus, sludging through all the people, on your page and trying to get one of those hot leads to really see it.
Yeah, it's trying to find the needle in the haystack versus going for the haystack in the first place.
Exactly.
I don't also that you say don't copy other people's ads because it's not going to be successful, or that may not work for you. So why is that?
Yes, the copycat. People love to do that. They love to copy word for word exactly a successful Facebook ad. And even some people who have a successful Facebook ad in the same industry, people love to copy other people's Facebook ads. And the thing about Facebook ads and copying someone off their, off the newsfeed, I do it all the time, right? Screenshot, I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, you have to understand that the way they wrote it may not work for your audience, because people say different words that their audience means, or words that are good for them versus, yours. Like, for example, I love sports. So in a lot of my interviews or blog posts or, even some of my ads, I use a lot of sports analogy. So if you copied my ad word for word, it may not work for you because your audience is not used to you hearing talk about sports and analogies that work that way.
Right.
So there's certain words that your audience is going to hear that's a like the dog whistle for them. And if you're copying someone else's, you're not going to get that same effect. So that's just one of the different things that happens when you copy someone is the language that you're using.
Right, because whenever you're authentic, you're drawing the people you're supposed to attract, and therefore you're speaking the same language. I mean, even though we may all speak English, we each have our own language that really connects us to somebody else.
Exactly.
So they can hear you, because I could never be Kristen and you could never be me. And I teach this a lot with our mentors. I see so many people, they try to be exactly like their mentor, and that never works. You have to say, hey, I learned this from Kristen, I learned this from Mary, I learned this from Joe, and I'm going to take all these little pieces because these really are congruent with my beliefs and values, and then it creates me. So I'm authentic, even though I have little pieces of everybody. So I would assume you could do the same thing with ads. Take things that are really congruent with who you are and piece your own together.
Oh, definitely. Just copying it word for word doesn't really work. Or even when you use images, just because that image works for that person's audience may not work for yours, but you can take a look at some of the design elements that are in that ad image and definitely use it, for yours, or different colors, or maybe a stock photo that really moves you. It may move your audience too. So you don't want to do the whole copy exactly word for word, image for image, other people's Facebook ads, because it never works. But like you said, definitely taking different elements of things.
Seems like that would be a violation of copyright too.
I mean, it could be. It could, but it just...
I'm just sort of shocked somebody would actually copy it word for word, picture for picture, and say, hey, I'm going to throw this out there. But I guess people do that, but I never would have thought to attempt that. Okay, yes. Don't copy the ads, and definitely add in your own spice of who you are.
Exactly.
And you had started before, like with the anatomy of a Facebook ad. So you gave us like a great tip. You want to do the conversions. So can you describe the anatomy of a successful Facebook ad?
Sure. So the first element is the audience. You got to know exactly, who you're going to target. And the more specific you are, the better. So that's just step number one. Step number two is your text. What are you writing to people? And what I typically see is you want to have your bold statement or your question in the first sentence. That's what I would call the hook, right? It grabs the attention, because a Facebook ad, you get about 2 or 3 seconds to make a good impression. So your first sentence is really, really important. So I call it the hook. If they're interested in the first sentence and they're like, yes, then you've hooked them to actually read the rest of it. The third piece is your image, right? The image is what grabs the person's attention, right? You don't want to be another ad in the newsfeed. You want to have your image make you stand out against the clutter and all the other noise that's on Facebook. So the image is definitely key. And then, of course, your budget. Your budget is super important. How much do you plan to spend? And with my clients, we always kind of reverse engineer and work backwards of what is their goal versus, what are they trying to look for in their programs, like how many people they want in their program. And then how much do they actually need to spend on Facebook ads so they're actually making a profit and not just breaking even, right? So you need to figure out, reverse engineer, how many people do you want in your program? How many people does it take to convert, your own conversion rate? And then how many people do you need from Facebook ads? And literally reverse engineering that. And then the fifth element is what we were talking about, the power editor. The power editor is a lot more powerful than it used to be. And of course, we just talked about not boosting posts. So the power editor, I know it sounds techie.
I didn't think the power editor, I haven't used it the last few times. I didn't think it was as important as what it used to be, but you're saying it still is very important.
It's super important. Well, the ads manager or power editor, now Facebook has actually made it easier for people to do Facebook ads on their own. Mm-hmm. So the cool part is that you can use the ads manager or the power editor. But what I love about it is that if you use the power editor, you get what you call the guided tour. So it's really cool. On the left side, it has all the things you need to get done. And as you do them, Facebook checks it off for you. So you know that you've actually done all the steps, which is super cool, right? And then you're done. And then it's like, oh, you complete it and it says finished. So it's not as complicated. You have to remember all the steps in your head. Once upon a time when I was doing it, there's actually a little guided thing that tells you as you go and check. And the cool thing is if you didn't do it, it won't check it. So you got to go back and be like, okay, did I do it? And when you do it, then it checks it off. It's really cool, actually. But you definitely want to get your Facebook ad done in the ad manager or the power editor. Like you said, and definitely not boost the post as we talked about earlier.
Right. With, you had mentioned pictures. Now, I see a lot of pictures, because they're just trying to, grab your attention. So like there is a very well-known person who had some ads not too long ago where it's a person with their dog, but she was actually selling, I don't remember what she was selling. She was
Webinars.
selling a launch, a program. It really had nothing to do with dogs. And so I know in my ad didn't perform as good as I'd hoped, but I had used for visibility a picture of 4 babies looking at a computer, because I thought, okay, you want your ideal clients to look at you. So I thought this was, a good picture. So how do you determine even what type of a picture to use? I mean, how closely does it have to match what you do? Or, like me, was my baby idea a good idea to begin with, and maybe it was actually my copy that wasn't converting versus the picture?
So there's 2 schools of thought. So one is like you want to get the shocking picture, the one that grabs everyone and goes, oh my gosh, and makes them stop and read it. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other school of thought where, like you said, you want your picture to be as close to the offer as possible. So my thing about the image is you want your image to portray the result of what you're trying to sell. So if you're trying to get people to a webinar, you want to sell the result of them attending the webinar versus the webinar itself. So for example, when I do a webinar, and mine is called, I have a webinar called Monetize Your Live Streams. And one of the images I have used is a female who is on her laptop and she looks focused on her laptop. And you're just kind of like, okay, but the thing is, she's like focused, like she's focused on, well, that's one picture I've used. That's probably a bad example. Let me use another example. I have a picture that's done really, really well with this webinar where the woman has a cell phone and she has an earbud in and she's looking at her phone and she's smiling. And the thing is, if you are a live streamer or a broadcaster, you know what that means. They are enjoying your broadcast, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, and possibly looking like they might buy something. That's the result of actually coming to my training, my Monetize Your Live Streams training. I'm going to show you how to monetize your live streams, but it's like, oh my gosh, like that's what that as a live stream broadcaster, that's what you want your audience to look like on the other side. So that image has always really done really well when I saw that masterclass, because people are like, that's the result I want. I want my audience to look like her, listening to every word, smiling, and focused on their phone, looking at me as a broadcaster. Mm-hmm. So if that makes sense, you want to sell the result. Want what you're really selling is the result, not the actual thing itself.
Okay, and that makes sense.
Or you can sell the struggle. So going back to that picture I had, with the woman looking at the laptop, and that's what I do for Facebook ads. A lot of people love that image when I do it for Facebook ads, because that's them, right? They're looking at the laptop like, I don't know how to give this Facebook ad. And they're like that woman in that picture with the laptop. So either you can sell the result or you can sell the struggle, right? And that picture does really well when I do Facebook ads, because it is literally selling the struggle. That's what people are doing when they do Facebook ads.
Okay, I got it. I'm sure our listeners have it too. Hey, we can always improve our Facebook ads regardless how well you're doing with them. It's all about testing. And I know also that you do a lot of Facebook live broadcasts. And so what's the number one thing people can do on their Facebook Live to turn potential clients into paying clients?
Call to action. Hands down. Hands down, that is the number one issue I see with people, is they never put a call to action to their broadcast. Every single broadcast should have a call to action. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that every call to action leads to a program. And one call to action can be, like my page so you can see the next time I go live. Another call to action would be, I'm going live on Thursday at 12 p.m. Watch me on Thursday, right? Another call to action would be, leave a comment if you thought this was great. A call to action doesn't always necessarily mean sign up for some opt-in and buy something. It could be whatever you want that audience to take action on. If you want more likes, you want, more comments, you want the post to be more engaging, you want them to share it, whatever that call to action means to you, that's really important to you at that time, that is the call to action you need to make on your broadcast.
Yes, that's great great advice for anything, even if you're just making a regular post. You want some sort of call to action to get the engagement.
Exactly.
I had read something. I just wonder your opinion on this too, since you're the ads geek, the Facebook geek. Is that somebody had said that it drives them nuts whenever they watch Facebook Lives and the person's like, "Hi, Mary. Welcome. Glad to see you. Hi, John. So happy you made it." So should people interact with people that are on the live stream, or should they just wait till afterwards and then interact via typing?
You definitely want to acknowledge your audience. Now, that is all per broadcaster and whatever their style is. So, for example, when I'm on live streaming, I do acknowledge the people coming on and saying hi and their name, and acknowledge the people that I do know or the people that heavily watch me and, at least say hi, right? It's like a conversation. You want to at least say hi, right? But for me, I always tell my audience, and this is just something my audience knows about me, but I tell it every time because you never know who's seeing you for the first time. I always tell my audience, hold on, let me introduce myself. Let me give you the 3 points I'm going to talk about. Hold your questions till the end because I want to give you everything that I promised, because some people got to leave and do what they got to do. And I will answer all the questions. And what I do is I will be talking here right now, and then I'll have a second device where I can see all the comments going and all the questions, so that when I'm done, I can literally scroll back and start answering people's questions as they go.
Okay. So you just take first, you wouldn't cut off in the middle of it even to say, you wouldn't be saying one of your tips and say, "Oh, hi, Mary, thanks for joining." You would just welcome everybody at the beginning that you see before you get into it.
Exactly, because it all depends on what type of broadcast you're doing. When I'm doing like a how-to broadcast or like a master class, I don't want to interrupt because I know people are in the flow and they're taking notes, and that just interrupts the whole flow of the broadcast. Now, if I'm doing a casual broadcast with my dog, that's a whole different story, right? Like, if I'm playing fetch and I want to show you how awesome my dog is at playing fetch, which she is, then I want to, then I'll interact because it's a very casual type of conversation. It's a casual atmosphere. But when I'm doing a teaching type of broadcast, a how-to, a master class, then I do that. But I also do a separate type of broadcast called a Q&A, where I just literally show up like this. I got my little water and I'm like, bring them on. I'll answer any question you want. And I will sit there for literally anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, just answering questions from people on the live stream broadcast. So my audience knows that, just because I'm coming on and I'm teaching doesn't mean that, I'm not going to answer questions. I'll answer questions at the end. And I also do a separate type of broadcast about twice a month where I'm just answering just only questions.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I know. I wanted to touch on the live too, because it is such the best way to really engage with your tribe today is through the live. And it's great for extroverts because then you get to let yourself be out,
Yes.
So can you share a business strategy that our listeners can implement in as little as 15 minutes a day?
Yes. So this is a big one. It relates back to Facebook ads. And hands down, this actually makes a difference between a great ad and a good ad. And the tip is very easy. It'll take you less than 15 minutes to do. We call it, in my social media ads bootcamp course, we call it finding your Rosie. Rosie's a military term. Sorry, you guys. Yeah, Rosie's a military term. So sorry, you guys. That's what Rosie means. So basically, this is how it's done. You just go to your printer, get some computer paper, the white paper, it's fine. Get some colored pencils and some crayons, and literally draw out who you want as your target audience. Why do we tell you to draw this out? And this is everybody. Anybody who takes my free 5-day Facebook ad challenge, up to the clients that pay us over $5,000 to actually do the Facebook ads. Everybody does this. Everybody does this. Okay. It's not like just something, everybody does it. And the reason why we have everyone do it is for a very simple reason. In here, you think you know who you want to target, but until you draw it out, you're missing out on other details that really make your audience special and allows Facebook to really target those people specifically who want to see your ad. So I'll give you an example. So we had a client who was pretty specific. She was like, it's women in the C-suite. They're 50. Their kids are in college. And, they live in a metropolitan city, like pretty, cares about their appearance, does the whole Michael Kors purse. I was like, wow, it's pretty specific, right? But it wasn't until she drawed out that something important came out of that picture she drew. So she drew it, she took a picture of it and sent it to me, text message. And I said, what's that in the corner? And she goes, oh, those are skis. Why are there skis in the corner? And she was like, oh, because my audience likes to ski. And I said, well, do you like to ski? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, that's probably important for her to know that her clients ski. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's probably important to her too that her clients ski because it's a common interest that they have. So when we went to go target her audience, yeah, we put in the, C-suite and the salary and all that, but we also put in also that they like to ski. That was very important to her to have that as people clients. So it's common ground and common, a common interest. And we ended up targeting, and that really made the difference between people being okay clients and wonderful clients that she loved working with. Just that little detail of that they like to ski, that was important to her. So that's why we make everybody do that exercise, is because there are things on there that, you never would have thought of that really can make the difference in your targeting. And be specific. Mm-hmm. Is it a dog out there? Is it a house, an apartment? Is your person sitting on the bench, at lunch during the park, taking a break from work and there's skyscrapers in the background? Is it sunny? Is it cloudy? If it's an apartment or a house, dog, tree, not a tree, front yard, backyard, whatever it is, be very specific. Like, your drawing should be so specific. You can show it to your friend. Like, oh my gosh, that's Rosie, or that's Steve, or that's Mary. Like, they can put a name to that drawing. And that's why we say find your Rosie, because you want it to be so specific. People can put a name like that. That's a real person to it for your targeting for your Facebook ads.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I'm very specific with who my ideal client is, but I have never actually drawn a picture. So I'm going to have to do that to see what comes out of my subconscious mind there. That's a really interesting, because you're just playing. Whenever you're drawing, you're playing, and you're just, I think, probably more in the flow just to draw. So that's a great tip. Thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And I do know that you have a great gift for our audience, for our listeners. Can you share a little bit about what it is and how it will benefit them?
Yes. So I'm giving away actually my free Facebook ads guide. So my free Facebook ads guide, it actually shares my 5-step system on how to create a Facebook ad that works and converts. It not only does you tell you the steps, it says how to do it. But one of the things that I love about this free Facebook ads guide is it tells you, if I knew then what I knew now, what would be different. So I give you the benefit of my knowledge and my mistakes. Like, don't do this because I did this in the beginning and you don't want to do that. So I share with you the mistakes that I made so that you don't make those same mistakes when you're creating your Facebook ad.
Right. It's great. And I know I've downloaded and read it myself. Great, great, great advice in there. So you want to be sure to head on over to Biz Success In 15 and download Kristen's free gift. You'll also have the chance to re-listen to the episode to catch any of those golden nuggets that you might have missed. And so, Kristen, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Just be consistent. That's one thing about anything you do in marketing, whether you're doing live streaming or Facebook ads, you have to be consistent at it. Then, even though Facebook ads seems like it does things really fast and everything, but if you want consistent, great results from Facebook ads all the time, or great results from live streaming all the time, guess what? You got to be consistent at it and do it on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, depending on what works for you. Like, Facebook ads, I do it on a monthly basis. I run Facebook ads for my business every month, hands down. I may not have, believe it or not, I may have nothing to promote, but I can still run Facebook ads and generate leads and grow my email list. Mm-hmm. Or live streaming. I live stream about 5 days a week. So you just have to put in the consistency of it so you can actually see the results. It doesn't really happen, like a magic wand like we all want it to. It does take work, but don't beat yourself up. Just be consistent at it. Consistent action always brings results.
And have fun while you're doing it.
Yes.
I just thought of that, with the magic wand, because we do want everything now. Mm-hmm. And whenever we're having fun, that should be what we're geared towards now. Have fun while you're being consistent.
And the time goes by so fast.
Very fast. And so, to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. So anybody that's struggling with Facebook ads, you want to have them hop on over and listen to Kristen's great words of wisdom. Be sure to visit Biz Success In 15, where you'll find all links from today's show, and you can re-listen to today's show and catch up on any shows you might have missed. And be sure to grab Kristen's Facebook Live, Facebook Ads guide. So with that, thank you very much for being my guest, Kristen. And big hugs, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode of Biz Success in 15. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.